breeding ground for the great midget and sprint car drivers. New technical specifications this past few seasons have opened up the class and the racing. Records are falling. The racing is unbelievable. So tonight, we pay tribute to these high-revving speedway miniatures. G'day race fans, welcome to The Dirt. I'm Nick Brown and tonight we feature the TQ series. Now these guys are real screamers on the track, but it's not just a feeder class for the midgets and the sprint cars. This is one of the most spectacular classes of racing in its own right. It's going to be great tonight, so let's see what's coming up on the show. Night 1 produced some fantastic thrills and we've got all the highlights, plus great racing from Night 2 and Night 3 of TQs. Well, joining me now is Roger Davis, and Roger, so far this season, these motorcycle-powered maniacs have supplied some spectacular racing.
Absolutely spectacular racing, very, very close racing out on the track. There's been a few incidents as well, but I'll tell you what, these guys are here for keeps and really, really trying hard out on the racetrack. This car here, number 56, driven by Ross Linklater, he's one of the fastest guys out there, but there's some other guys, Paul Lecrene, there's Gina Harris, there's a few come up from Christchurch as well, and some from Napier, so we're on for a really good night with TQ racing.
Thanks, Roger. Well, the racing was fast and furious right from the start on Night 1. Let's go to the heats.
Heat number 2, Ryan Barry out of the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midget, starting alongside 3NZ Ricky Brett out of Christchurch. Running in the car now based in Auckland, owned by Paul Davidson. Second row start for Gina Harris alongside Gavin Hamlin, with Eric Smith and Aaron Wrightson starting from the third row. So the track's really starting to speed up now. You can see how flat the profile is. The majority of this track's been reprofiled. It's a lot lower with the new curbs as well. Very, very different off the fourth turn where the cars are heading towards now. Off 3 in front of the commentary tower in the town bend end of the track, and that's off 4 down onto the main straight in front of the big crowd assembled for opening night. So Ricky Brett with the race lead, the current 3NZ in the appliance repair Suzuki. That's one of the new generation water-cooled cars. But it's the young quarter midget star, Ryan Barry, working him over for the race lead with Gina Harris back there in third. So the Auckland-built Harris chassis 1, 2 and 3 as Barry just bicycles. There's some grip out there in this racetrack. Early on in the night, we've already seen a 14.9 from Paul Lecrene in the first heat on a very, very fast racetrack. So Ricky Brett taking the white flag from Ryan Barry. First ever start at Western Springs Speedway in race conditions for the young driver out of the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets. There's a big problem for the 87 of Michael Gurnett debuting tonight. And he is on his side up against the fence out of the exit at turn number 2. Here's the replay off the wall cam, just ran wide right in front of the corporate area. And up and over went the number 87. Tough opening night for the TQ rookie. So that brought out the conclusion of the second heat with Ricky Brett taking the victory from Ryan Barry, Gina Harris, 2NZ Craig Todd, Gavin Hamlin and Jared Taylor. So on to the third heat after that incident at the end of heat number 2 for Michael Gurnett. So this is the second opportunity for most of the drivers like the midgets and the sprint cars. Each of the TQ drivers get 2 opportunities to qualify through the heats on the night to set the grid for the TQ feature at the end of the night. Paul Lecrene's out there. This is a reverse of the drivers' first grids of the night. So Paul Lecrene started near the back. He starts right up front for this one as Ricky Brett's already making progress from the rear of the field. Brett's second heat, he won the first heat. He set the fastest lap in that heat at a 14.8 seconds. Just a 10th and a half off track record pace as this racetrack continues to get quicker. A couple of different lines certainly. There's probably 3 grooves out there for the TQs as Gina Harris goes around the outside of the 18 of Shane Phillips. Ricky Brett using that high line to go around the outside of the 5 of Eric Smith. So Paul Lecrene out in front. It's going to be pretty tough to catch from here, and those that started near the back like Ricky Brett are going to need a yellow to try and get to Paul Lecrene, who's just driving away with this one easily. Gina Harris and Ricky Brett disputing position in behind Eric Smith. There's Ryan Barry just in behind Brett, continuing their battle from the second heats. So you put the two results together for each of the drivers, and it's fastest to the front, highest points to the front for the feature. And right now, Paul Lecren wouldn't be too far away from that mantle. And just looking at the lap scoring, Paul Lecren's just a couple of thousandths of a second off track record pace. There he is on the last lap. In fact, he's smashed the lap record. 14.574 seconds. He's taken 2/10 off the track record and takes out the third heat. That is blistering pace from the former national champ. Second will...
Welcome back to The Dirt. This week it's your home of TQ Racing on Sky Sport. I'm Nick Brown. Well, it's time to check out the first feature of the season. Your commentator, Jamie McCarthy.
Thank you, Nick. Yeah, building up to a big one. The ultra-competitive TQs at Western Springs Speedway. Night one feature lineup. Paul Lecren starting off the pole. Gina Harris from 2, followed by Ricky Brett, Craig Todd, Ryan Barry and Steve Smith. Ryan Baker, Philippa Melrose start from row number 4. A 5th row start for Dwayne Todd and Brad Curtin. And a 6th row start for Amanda Warren and Jared Taylor. Go back to Eric Smith, Scott Baker, Shane Phillips, Aaron Wrights and Darryl Webster and Dean Bennett. And wait, there's more. 22 cars to face the starter. Completing the lineup, Gavin Hamlin, TQ rookie Levi Madsen Prin, Danny Keane and Troy Keedy. So Paul Lecren off the pole, the new track record holder. He took 2/10 off his own track record set here on the opening night a year ago.
It's going to be pretty tough to beat.
So a very, very good racetrack. Gina Harris off the outside of the front row as the flames light up Western Springs. 15 laps. That was Steve Smith just getting out of the racing groove as Gina Harris gets into the race lead. So Paul Lecren's going to drop back into the second spot. The opening round for the Western Springs Track Championship points for the summer. No Ross Linklater, the defending champ, out with engine problems from his first heat earlier on in the night as Lecren tries to find a way around Gina Harris as Ricky Brett comes under pressure on the outside from Craig Todd. Third of the yellow cars in there is Ryan Barry. He's in a Todd sandwich with Dwayne Todd in behind him as Lecren goes to the top around the outside of Gina Harris. More used to seeing Paul Lecren typically run that bottom groove, especially when it's a little bit slicker. But there's still lots of drive out there on this race surface for the 3/4 midgets. On a night where we've seen 2 track records broken, Paul Lecren's stunning 14.5 second effort for the TQs as Dwayne Todd goes by Ryan Barry for the 5th position. And Brett Mosen taking out the new track record for the midgets at a 13.5. As Dwayne Todd's gone by his cousin Craig Todd for that 4th position. There's really nothing in it between the top 10. Some great opening night action. Track records, a few cars upside down, lots of incidents to keep the fans happy. Up in the terraces. Two Napier-based efficient cars in 4th and 5th. Ryan Barry back there in the 6th spot. Now we get a battle for 3rd. Young Dwayne Todd, himself a former place getter on the podium for the New Zealand 3/4 midget championships over the last couple of seasons. He's got the inside run on Christchurch's Ricky Brett. Commutes to Auckland every week to race against the Western Springs regulars. Gina Harris up and over in the Harris race cars, number 64 Suzuki. Well, that was out of the 2nd position. Looks like she's done it all by herself, landing back on its wheels. Just about didn't go back over. Let's have another look at it from front on. Dwayne Todd has to go to the inside. Ricky Brett lucky around the outside that he literally didn't get landed on top of. Now, the amazing thing here is that Gina Harris is going to get a restart. Well, the Harris team build these cars strong. Would have been given a clean bill of health by the scrutineers down on the infield, assisted by the Western Springs safety crew, led by Brian Guptill. So back to the restart. Paul Lecren, that certainly closed the field up, and it helps Ricky Brett too. because he was under all sorts of pressure from Dwayne Todd. So for the restart, it's Paul Lecrane, Ricky Brett, Dwayne Todd, Craig Todd, Ryan Barry, looking for a top 6 in his first ever night of TQs at Western Springs Speedway out of the Kiwi Kids Quarter Midgets. Here's Philippa Melrose, winner of the first heat earlier on in the night. So the visitors are having a strong night, but they're all chasing Paul Lecrane. A couple of drivers out there from Napier, a couple of Christchurch regulars as well. There's the Retco number 16 of Ryan Barry. He's done a solid job tonight through the heats and through the feature early. Paul Lecrane set the fastest lap of the race on lap 6 at a 14.605. He's only half a tenth off his new lap record, and they're doing this right at the end of the night. In fact, most of the top 6 are down in that sub-15 second range. And with the laps that Paul Lecrane's cutting right now, he'd probably finish about 6th in the midget feature on this pace. So the last lap for Paul Lecrane in the Renter Crate number 14, Suzuki Harris, builds his own engines. The former national champ's got a win on opening night. Paul Lecrane to take the victory from 3NZ Ricky Brett, 6B Dwayne Todd, 2NZ Craig Todd, 16 Ryan Barry, and the 15 of Ryan Baker. But it's opening night honours to Paul Lecrane. What a night. A new track record and a feature win. So here's the top 6 from opening night for the three-quarter midgets. Paul Lecrane from Ricky Brett, Dwayne Todd, Craig Todd, Ryan Barry, and...
Welcome back to The Dirt. This week we're looking back at 3 fantastic TQ features. Now, Night 2 provided some real action from a very fast track. So let's go and check out the highlights.
Scott Baker off the front row, Steve Smith from 2. There's a gap off the inside of the second row. Ryan Barry off the outside of the second row. Gina Harris returning after her heroics from night number 1, getting upside down in the feature, getting restarted and managing a feature finish. So a tough first night, but showing some good speed before she got upside down. Eric Smith out there as well in the 5. But it's Steve Smith out to the early lead on lap number 1. Paul Lecrane to the outside of Gina Harris. And lots of smoke there from the 88 of Scott Baker. He retires to the infield in the Quality Water Supplies car as Ryan Barry at the other end of the tracks got upside down in the Retco number 16. So a strong debut on opening night. He's in row, another Kiwi Kid Quarter Midget graduate, Troy Kearney from the outside of the first row. Brad Curtin from 3, Darryl Webster from 4.
Stadium. TQ's heat number 3.
So Dwayne Todd gets the early jump. It's the track starting to widen up. Chris Quillen back out there for his second heat in the 0800 beater, New World number 19. And there's Ryan Barry back after his upside down effort in his first heat to the inside of Brad Curtin. Curtin in the number 51 Sharp Reinstatement's car. And here's Ross Linklater. Schneider Electric number 56 looking to have a much better second night after some engine dramas on opening night. The reigning Western Springs TQ track champion. He's going to be up against it to chase down Dwayne Todd. Ryan Barry still back there in that 3rd position. There's Ryan Baker battling there with Gina Harris. And Harris runs wide. Quillen's going to slip up the inside to pick up the 7th position. And there's some good battles right through this field for the 3rd heat. Just trying to get some different lines working. Brad Curtin, he's had all sorts of engine dramas over the last season or so as well. So this is a good return for him, battling there with the 15 of Ryan Baker. Baker picking up the position. So most of the drivers prepared to run the bottom of the racetrack. There's a couple having a look up top. Troy Kearney's one of them. As Ryan Barry's upside down again in exactly the same spot of the track in exactly the same manner. That's unbelievable. 2 heats in a row. He's chastising himself in the cockpit. He is just beside himself, the youngster. Let's have a look at the replay. Just ahead of Ryan Baker and Troy Keaty. Up and over. Literally probably 10 feet away from where he did it in his previous heats. You can see the frustration for the Kiwi Kids quarter mid. Thanks, Nick. Well, we've seen some stunning action from the first 2 nights. TQ action. Heat 1, night 3, and Paul Lecren off the pole for the first one alongside Steve Smith. With Dwayne Todd and Ryan Barry off the second row. A little bit greasy early. Oh, that's Dwayne Todd running sideways down in front of the wall camera off the pit straight. Beautiful sunny afternoon, early evening here at the Springs for the 3rd night of the AmPro Tools summer season. But it's Paul Lecren now under pressure from Ryan Barry. There's Dwayne Todd, Steve Smith. Battle for the 3rd and 4th spots. You can see the clay flicking up. They'll be pulling tear-offs like they're going out of fashion. An early sticky surface. Lecren gets a bump in the back bumper from Ryan Barry. He's giving him the hurry up, the young quarter midget. Graduates looking to atone for a couple of upside down efforts from night number 2 in the heats. But it's Paul Lecren. Well, he's looking for 3 from 3 tonight in the TQ features. But he's got a fight on his hands in the early heats. A little bit of smoke there from Troy Keaty. And the Cunningham Construction number 91 CSR. Like Ryan Barry out of the Kiwi Kids quarter midgets last season. Paul Lecren just controlling the lead now, just looking for some better lines with some lap traffic coming up. Just ahead of him is young TQ rookie Levi Madsen-Brennan, the Hydrolink number 54, puts him down a lap as we go to the last lap. White flag out on the racetrack. Barry's got an inside run off 2 off the pit straight, slides up the inside. More lap traffic up ahead, but Ryan Barry got around Lecren on the last lap, holds on for the win in the first heat. Lecren back in second, followed by Dwayne Todd, Steve Smith, Troy Keaty, and Ross Link by Madsen-Brennan and Christchurch's Philippa Melrose. 4th and final heat for the 3rd night. Craig Todd off the pole, Eric Smith from 2, Amanda Warren from 3, a gap from 4, Gina Harris and Shane Phillips from the 3rd row. 13 starters for the 4th and final heat in front of a packed house at Western Springs Speedway. Getting ready for action from the midgets and the International Sprint Car Classic, sponsored by Porter Hire and Hydrolink. So Craig Todd out to the front running. He'll be pretty tough to beat from a front row start. And as we've explained, each of the drivers gets 2 opportunities each night to qualify for the TQ feature. Top point scorer will start off the pole for each of those features. There's Shane Phillips battling with Philippa Melrose. And that'll be Dwayne Todd coming into the picture in the second of the efficient carriers. Napier-based cars as Amanda Warren makes a nice inside pass on Eric Smith. Through to the second position goes yet another Napier-based driver. Her and her brother Darren have travelled up to Western Springs over the last couple of seasons from Napier night to night. Darren has made up the move to the midget ranks for the season. As we go to the last lap, Napier's Craig Todd will take the 4th and final heat victory at Western Springs on night 3. From Amanda Warren in a huge battle for 3rd. That'll go to Gina Harris just on the line from Ryan Barry, Eric Smith and Shane Phillips.
Well, certainly some exciting racing in the TQs, Roger, but didn't quite pan out tonight.
No, it didn't. Unfortunately, there's a 10:30 curfew here at Western Springs, and the TQs this week were the ones that had to be stood down. They just ran out of time, really. It's unfortunate because I tell you what, Nick, these TQs are just getting faster and faster, and the racing is so close, and there's some very, very good drivers. There's some older drivers who've been around for a long time. The younger ones get into this class as well, and they learn off the older drivers, and I tell you what, we see them move into the other ranks because because we've seen Ryan O'Connor, for example, into sprint cars, Jamie McDonald and Carl Wilson also into sprint cars. Yeah. What about Shane O'Connor? He's gone over to midgets. Brock Mastovich, they've moved over to midgets as well. So this is a great little class where they can start and they can learn off their Paul Lecrens and drivers like Ross Linklater, drivers like that. It's a fantastic class.
Thanks, Roger, and it's been great bringing you the TQs this week. You want to see more of it? Then you come down to the Springs. But we'll